Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the garage. So we are back working on the cage. It is actually pretty late. Well, it's not that late, but it just got dark out. I got home from work and started trying to figure out what we're gonna do next. So with that comes a lot of stuff. So I'm looking at, what can we weld? What should we weld in first? What do we need to build stuff off of and all that? So that's why we put this this bar in here last night, is because we need to start building out our funny car cage, because we need to put an X in the roof here, and the funny car cage is actually going to be like an integral part of that, because that's going to come down over here, and that part of the X is actually going to run right into it. So with that all being said, I had to figure that all out. I had to figure out how to plot it and exactly what we wanted to do. So one option we could do, if we come around to the back of the truck, is we actually could come straight down here, which would make things very simple, very easy, and just have another straight bar. But no, I want to make things difficult, and I really want this to look good. So what I want to do, and we're going to give it one shot. If we don't get it, we'll go with the straight bar and then build off of that. But what I plotted is duplicating the main hoop bar here, but over here. So what that means is we're basically going to come from right here, have a little bend, come up, have a big bend, but all over here. So it'll be symmetrical. It'll come up over me, down, and down, then kick straight back onto the bar. I hope that makes sense, but basically our funny car cage has to surround me. That puts where I have the Kirky, which is dead center of where the steering wheel is now. That puts me in the center of that. Everything would be symmetrical. So if we look at the front here, it would look right. A straight bar wouldn't look bad, and I probably should just go for the straight bar just because, but you know what? You never know until you try something. Like I've told you guys before, I've never done this before, but I want to try and do it to the best of my ability, but you're not going to know the best of your ability until you try it. So that's what we're going to do. Now, that being said, there's a couple things that complicate that. So first off, when we cut our tube for our notches, this bar right here is right after this bend. So that's going to make it hard, figuring out where to notch it and all that. I mean, it's going to be a little tight. But the other one is up top here. Basically, that curve is going to run right into that bar. So that's really going to be kind of difficult. I don't know how that's going to go. We actually have a couple short pieces of tube around. If I can find one that'll work, we'll do a practice. If not, we'll just go for it. The other thing is the Bentex, pretty good, like you guys saw with this tube. When everything's plotted right, you pretty much just cut exactly what you need. There's very little waste. Well, this one, with where our tie-ins are being on bends and whatnot, it's actually calling for our tube to be too short. So when we put it in the bender, basically when our tube will start here, our mark usually starts here from what I measure off of. Well, we need at least additional, say 3 or 4 inches to hold that tube. So we're going to need to add that there. And the last bend is, just after that point. So we're going to need to add like 6 inches there. So we're going to give it a shot. Like I said, I don't know how this is going to go. We might make a scrap piece, but we're going to find out. Wish me luck. So guys, we kind of lucked out on our tube. We're kind of getting a little freebie here, I guess you'd say. So we need 32 inches of tube. I got measuring. I was going to go, there's a couple 10-foot sticks. I was thinking, hey, I'll just bend that thing out and then we'll cut everything to fit. But anyway, I figured out the math. I need, what they call for is about a 32-inch piece. We probably need a 40-inch piece. This is about 3 foot length. So it's a little too short, but I got looking and I have this other scrap piece that I had done a practice cut on earlier. Well, if we cut this practice notch off and butt weld these, we got the length we need. Now we can get away with that because our other bend starts, it's like right here. So basically when the tube would be in the die, it would only be halfway through, not the whole way through. We don't want to screw anything up. I don't know if just having it on the front is going to mess it up or not, but we're going to butt weld this sucker on there, grind her smooth, and see if we can bend this part of the funny car cage. So guys, it's been quite a while. I bent the piece up and I got the look, eyeing everything up and started grinding, cutting and all that. Well, here's what we have to show for it. So here is our rear something funny cage car bar. Anyway, it's all fit up. I got the C-clamp holding it. I got a little angle finder on there, which as you can see, it's like 74, 75 degrees. We go over here, about the same. But the important part is we come out here, look at that thing. Man, it's looking good. It's not tacked in yet. We're not going to get to that tonight. Like I said, it took a long time. So I have the little templates you can make for your cuts and all, and I just didn't like how it was all kind of looking, and I wasn't feeling comfortable with it. So what I did was I decided that we were just going to sneak up on it. So first I cut everything down a little bit, and then I cut this backside off of the top of that bend, and just like I said, slowly snuck up on it. I cut a little notch here. You know, it was close. We were way out on our angle, so then I just grind, maybe cut with a little, cut a little bit with the chop saw and grind some more, and this, that, and the other. Just keep fitting and trying to get our fits good, get our angle right, and get it looking good. I mean, it's going to look, I should say, because like I said, it's not in permanent. Yeah. Now it didn't turn out perfect. As we see down here, we're kind of straight. We just have a little kicker there at the bottom. The bend doesn't match here, but I am 100% fine with that. It looks good. Now, here's the real cool thing. So if we come back here, everything lines up. Yeah, it's looking good. That hoop, if anything, it needs to move over a little bit, but I just have it roughly on my mark. Nothing's measured right now. I just was using it for fitment purposes, but man, that'll look good. Now, the only thing I have to decide is, we got our steering wheel here and our Kirky, everything's lined up there. Do we want to extend that bar, move that bar over a little bit, give me a little bit more room? I got to figure that all out, double check all the regulations, and make sure we're going to be good there. But we're moving right along. This piece took a long time, but I think it's worth it. I think it came out very nicely. But we'll pick this up tomorrow and try and get some more cage work done. So guys, it is the following evening. We are going to pick back up on the cage work. So I did make a decision during the course of the day, and that is that we are actually moving that bar over. So I moved it over, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches from where I had it last night. It doesn't look symmetrical with the seat, or it doesn't look centered with the seat, because it's not. We can always move the seat and the steering wheel over eventually if we want to, but I decided to err on a little more room. Once we put this funny car cage in, it's in. So we're gonna add some room. I think this will make things nice. But also before we weld that in, I've decided we are actually going to make the front funny car cage bar. So we're gonna make a bar from here. And I did kind of set the camera up and look with my helmet on that this line right here, our bar will be in the center of that. That should contain my entire helmet and actually give us a little bit of wiggle room on moving the seat back and forth. So we're gonna come here, come up hopefully a little bit to match our main hoop. It's gonna come down and hopefully follow this bar I just put in, follow that. It'll come down about a foot and then angle right down here to the bottom. So that's the plan, but I figured before we weld that in, if the piece we make ends up being a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, we can adjust that one, and that way when we look at the front of the truck or the rear of the truck, it'll look right. So maybe I'm splitting hairs here, but we didn't have that welded in yet, which that was the first thing I was gonna do when I got home today, was tack that in, but I decided to start messing with that Bentech stuff and figuring out exactly how I wanted to make that front bar. So that's what we're gonna do. And like I said, I plotted it all out in this Bentech software I've been using, and so far I'd highly recommend it. It is a bit frustrating to try and learn as you're doing like this, but I'm finding it so useful in making our bends, such as I'm able to print up sheets like this. So here's our 3 bends, you know, one little one for going up, and then the big one there for to run the bar down. But then it also shows you the rotation. So once we bend that, we're actually going to rotate it up and bend it. But as you can see here, also my bend number 3 is first, because I went in and I started it, because if you look at the picture of the die, it actually is right at the end, and it's right there. So we're going to have to add some tubing so that it's in our bender correctly, like we did last night. But then here also we have our location of our bends, our cut length, and I already added 4 inches to it for our 4 inches here. So anyhow, we also have our rotation, the angle we're going to bend it to, and all that. So this is making life a lot simpler, so we can try and get good bends every time. So let's get to cutting our tube, laying this thing out, bend it up, and hopefully we can get it all notched and tacked in tonight. Well, I'm hoping to get most of it welded in, what I can. I'm not going to be able to get it all, but when we drop it, drop the cage down, we'll be able to get everything.